Black Art Perspective.
I'm not sure what this is really going to mean in the scheme of things. I really don't, because this whole entire thing could go several different ways. You will see there on the screen that it says Trump wins New Hampshire GOP primary in a blow to Haley. I don't see it that way at all, because you just never know how some things are going to end. Let me show you one of the screens that I see here, and I'm going to share this with you from one side. I just did a screen, a still shot of this, excuse me, of this channel. Um, this was a couple of minutes ago. And so it showed him with, of course, the blue check mark at 55.5 and has 20.9% of the precincts in. But I just hope that he doesn't start to celebrate too soon, because let me refresh this and see what will happen. See if it has his numbers on. No, yeah, let me stop,
Definitely. Well,
I don't want to hear anybody's mouth. So it says 55% down here, 0.5, 44.3. And the delegates that were at stake were 22. So it shows that, the majority of the folks are all in. I hope people don't start, counting their chickens before they hatch, is all I'm saying. Because we've seen that type of stuff before in the past, where people get a little anxious and a little excited. And then when they do that, it can cause a big problem for themselves. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't. But let me read this to you, and we'll just see what this is talking about. This came out about 8 minutes ago, but it says Trump wins New Hampshire GOP primary in blow to Haley. Former President Trump is projected to win the New Hampshire GOP primary, according to Decision Desk HQ, dealing a major blow to his rival Nikki Haley and putting him one step closer to securing his party's nomination. I'm not sure if anybody else watched this morning, but Nikki Haley said that even if she did not win this primary, she was going to keep, passing the stuff around and get on up a little higher. That's what she said. She's going to keep going until she just made it all the way. So anyway, Trump's win in the Granite State is especially damaging to Haley, because she had invested much of her time and resources in the state, even notching the endorsement of popular Governor Chris Sununu, who said if she didn't win, he probably would support Trump. Now, I did watch that earlier. It says polling at one point had shown Haley trailing Trump by just single digits. The former UN ambassador faced pressure to perform well in New Hampshire after placing third in Iowa, and after her rival Florida Governor Ron DeSantis dropped out just days before the first in the nation primary. In making his announcement, DeSantis did endorse Trump, leaving her as Trump's sole remaining major challenger. But polling in recent days showed Haley facing a tough hill to climb and toppling Trump, with a polling average of New Hampshire surveys from the Decision Desk HQ and The Hill showing Trump at 51% and Haley at 37%. Now, Trump was also further buoyed by former rivals coalescing around him just before the Iowa GOP caucus. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum endorsed Trump, Senator Tim Scott, and biotech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy also endorsed him ahead of the Granite State primary. Haley only received a few endorsements from former candidates, including former Representative Will Hurd, Republican of Texas, and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. Now, Trump's win in New Hampshire raises questions about whether Haley will continue her primary challenge heading to her home state of South Carolina, as both will underscore Trump's dominance in the party and as the next early voting dominating contests offer an almost impossible runaway for Haley. Haley's campaign, however, signaled before New Hampshire primary that it would compete in South Carolina, which was what I was just sharing at the top of the program. With Ad Impact noting on Monday that her campaign placed ad reservations in the Palmetto State that would begin on Thursday. So, excuse me, I think that was I don't know, maybe that was a little premature on her part to start that. I don't know, you guys let me know, but I can't figure any of this stuff. I just can't figure any of this stuff. I mean, it's curious at best. But what I will say is, I think I'm going to give what I believe could happen. I alluded to this the other evening, and I'm going to do it again here on this podcast. I think that if possible, he could win. And if possible, she could be his vice president, because it would be one Indian American woman and there would be another woman from India with heritage of India. But I think the most important thing is that that would give her a little bit of practice, and she would have the vice presidency under her belt, and then she'd also then be able to run for president. That's just my projection. It's not a prophecy. I'm not using any of my gifts or anything like that. I'm just saying that I could see how this would go. Some have said that it could be Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy. And then, you know what? This whole thing could get totally turned upside down because of how many bankers have put money behind her in the first place to see her win. I think a lot of people are going to be sort of shocked once they start. If she goes ahead and continues with this could get muddy. And the reason why I say that is because we just saw a little bit of her past come back to haunt her just recently. And if that is any indication of what's to come, it could get even muddier. And by that, I mean that if there are any more skeletons in her closet other than the ones that have now resurfaced from several years ago, it could get really bad, because I would imagine that they would not stop. And by they, I mean the Trump campaign would, obviously, because, you know, they always throw their mud at each other and all of those ad campaigns and things of that nature. I can only imagine it getting a little bit muddier for her. And yeah, that could be a big issue. Not knowing for sure which direction that could go, but I will tell you that it is all one gigantic distraction. I really, really, really do. I believe that there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen in between now and September, right? Now in September, because then there's 2 months after the you know, we're going right into November. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen. I think we're going to find out a lot more information. I think more lawsuits are going to come out about everybody, because right now it's just all of the bad guys that are fighting against each other to rule Pinky's kingdom. It just reminds me of Pinky and the Brain. That's exactly what this whole thing reminds me of. And so I find it, you know, I was not shocked when it showed that, you know, he stood the chance to win tonight. But I just will say that if he is, I believe that that's going to be a big problem. There is a running theme I've noticed with a lot of awesome people that are of, you know, Indian descent, like from India, Pakistan type region. And I don't know what that is, other than maybe they feel like the United States is a place where they can all come in and have an opportunity to do things. Maybe their parents had them here. You know, their parents may have come from another country in that region, and then they moved here, and then they had the people that are running right now, like I said, Vivek Ramaswamy, and then Nikki Haley, as well as even the now seated vice president, who has parentage history in that region. I just think it's very unique that there's a lot of them now in the American politics. It's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that it's pretty amazing. And it really does show. It speaks for the opportunities here in America, I would say. In tandem with that, those of you who know me know me. And in tandem with that, I would also say that when I look at all of the monies that were coming in for people like her and a few others, I'm not, sup- I'm not resting my laurels on this being, I'm not resting my laurels on this being a clean sweep for anyone. I'm just not. It could change at any moment. With that said, does anybody had anyone heard? And then I know who may have, Deborah or Starfire may have heard of this, but there was a big conversation that she had, and by she I do mean Nikki Haley, that Nikki Haley had with regards to having been a victim of racism when she lived in, was it South Carolina? And she was a young girl and she was a brown girl. And so being a brown girl was very difficult for her. I think maybe she should stay out of the entire shade game, stay out of the race game of color, stay out of that. Just do your gig, you know, stay in that lane. That was already done. believe it or not, that was already done. They had a whole lot of people believing that the now seated vice president, for example, was an African American woman up until she got nominated, and then up until she became the actual candidate, the actual vice president, and then all of it started to come out. I know myself personally here on this channel, I did a blurb, like maybe a 1 minute blurb, just, congratulating her as the first Indian, woman, Indian American woman to win as the vice president. So with that said, I think there's a direction that we're going. Can't not necessarily put my finger on it. I don't know exactly what it is that I would be comfortable enough to say here. Mindy Astone, it's great to see you. Hey, Ahal, how are you? So with that sort of bothered me, seeing that she was saying that, she was a brown girl and she was treated badly, and that she was ridiculed because she was brown. I don't see her as brown. I just don't see her as brown. I see her as a woman, but I'm brown. And she doesn't look like me. I'm not black. I'm brown. I'm caramel colored, which is brown. And so I just think that that's a bush that she should stay from under. I don't think that's a good bush for her to get under. I think she should get under something else and just stick to the facts, ma'am. With that said, there was a lot of people. There was Carrie, I think it was, is it Carrie Lake? Carrie Lake was out tonight supporting Trump. There were a few other people that were supporting Trump, and it looks as if, since everybody has now given over their, votes to him, in other words, endorsed him, which means their people will feel confident in running behind him now that they are out of the race. And now, now Tim Scott, everybody's out of the race. Now they're saying, okay, I'm done. Now let's just run over here because he's endorsed him. Now I'm gonna go there. Now, funny thing, tonight there was one other thing that I've never noticed, and that is the opposite, voting in, writing in. Now they wrote in Trump, they wrote in Biden's name. They wrote in Biden's name tonight in the Republican, in this whole spiel tonight here in New Hampshire. And I want to tell you, I know that that's because he really wanted them to push for switching everything to South Carolina in the first place. But this writing of the Biden in, I don't know, you guys, it's just amazing. So some of these things just don't remind me of the days of when we were young and we took, we took government. We took different classes in school and they told us how things worked and how everything was supposed to work. And now it just seems like everything you learn is thrown out the window. I think it is amazing that Trump did what he did tonight. I don't know how it's going to be with all of the legal cases and things and battles that he has going on right now. I know that some of those things are crumbling. I know also that it may be that they want it to crumble, and at a certain point, they'll just stop the madness and let them go on ahead and run, because I think that there's this narrative out there that if America does the worst that it can possibly do, drops down as low as it can possibly drop, the inflation can get as high as it can possibly get. I do believe that some people think that, well, you know what, now we need Trump because they put him in a savior type of position. And to put any human being in that type of position, that's a heavy weight. That's a really, really heavy weight. It's not something that I would recommend on any, for any reason. Nikki Haley wants to work to your 70, wants you to work till you're 70 years old. Okay, I see Doc Boss. Doc Boss is saying here that she wants people to work until you're 70 years old. Wow, the average American is not built for that. Yeah, that's, I think it's very difficult for individuals who have a really, I want to be cognizant of what I'm saying here because, little birds, do me a favor, you guys, all hit the like button at the same time. Please, 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 because then I can say it and it won't trip anything. But I think a lot of people who are a little more to the left, even though they profess to be, Republican, they seem to be a little bit more of a rhino to me. And that's what I imagine her to be. I feel like she's the type of individual who will be all things for all people at all times, that she'll say everything to all people at all times to blend in, to win all of them. And I think that as far as people are concerned, she's not necessarily genuine. I think that she has a mindset that's very, what is the word I'm looking for? Hey, Black Spring, um, uh, communist. I'm just going to say it because I've seen some of the things that she tries to keep inside of her mouth that she just can't help. I've seen her try to fight back certain words and she just can't help it. And she just lets it out. But that's exactly what I think. I think that there's some danger there when you've got individuals that just want to do everything that everybody says. Listen, the facts that we covered yesterday with regards to her past, and I'm looking specifically at her as to why I believe she needs to just drop out now. I believe she needs to drop out now because what we learned yesterday about her corporately, as we all were reading the news articles on the last live, was that she appears to be a person who is easily persuaded to do things that go against the grain. In other words, those two men that came out and signed those affidavits, and listen, I'm not here to say whether that stuff is true or not. The issue is they felt confident enough to say it and then sign an affidavit. Anybody who runs in that type of circle where they are comfortable with committing adultery, which is a violation of whether you like it or not, it's a covenant. And covenant or agreement or contract, which of course, if you do it in the United States, it is done as a contract because it has to be broken. It has to be broken in a court of law, right? So dissolved in a court of law. So for me, I just have a problem with people that are, especially females. I'm not saying that men get a pass. What I'm saying is men have that mindset of, oh, she meant nothing to me. He can go, go over here and poke, go over there and poke, and she was nothing. And he really means that she was nothing. You know what I'm saying? But a chick, what it takes in your mind to actually lay down like that, she lacks that. She doesn't have that. That's like having a friend who's 45 and has never had a child and expect her to have a maternal instinct unless, of course, that person has had to stand in that role. But the majority of the women that I know that have never had kids, by the time we hit 45 years old, they were just like we were when we were in high school and college. Very giddy, very selfish just about them. They lack the capacity, in my opinion, not all, but some, lack the capacity to have that spirit of discernment that tells them, hey, I need to be compassionate at this point. This gal, she has if everything they've said about her is true, she has no capacity to be sorry. The believe me eyes and the just everything about her. So I just hope that she does, after she gets her spanking, since she purchased all of those ads, or the people that bought her purchased all those ads in South Carolina. I just hope that as soon as that's over, she goes ahead and has a seat someplace, regroups, because he just might ask her to be his vice presidential candidate with him. And then it's going to be a heck of a war, because I believe there's going to be more weather catastrophes. I believe there's going to be a lot more scuttles going on throughout the world that we just have to go and save people from. There may even be a little bit more sickness that may prevent you from moving about the country as you would like to. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff going on between now and November. 2024 is about to be a heck of a ride. If you thought 2020 was a ride, this is about to be a heck of a ride. I hope everybody is buckled in, have their safety belts on, and get ready to just take it. Maybe we'll take a couple of comments before we leave. Let me see if there are any questions. I don't see any questions. Let's see here. 6079 Smith W says, Trump, the 45th president, some called it a cult. A colt is a horse. A cavalier is a horseman. From Trump's birth to the Cavaliers' first NBA game, 8,888 days. You're going to have to really break that down for us. Now, A. Howe says, not loyal to America, loyal to our greatest ally. She is too hyper. And you're absolutely right. I have been in broadcasting and in radio since 1992. It is our job to know how to fill in and how to talk and how to, banter back and forth. But I watched this lady, and I tell you, she was in an interview with another person. Actually, it was five. It was the five. Is that who it is? The five or somebody on Fox. It was three commentators and her. My God. Whew, boy, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. I could not understand why they didn't just stop her because she was really antagonistic. She was attacking them, and she's the guest. And it was just a mess. But she got her point across. And that point was, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to run no matter what. And even if I lose in New Hampshire, I've already spent a lot of money in South Carolina. And look, she says, I've won twice. The people in South Carolina, they love me. And I'm going to win there too. Salute to you as well, my fellow Mississippian Derek C. Williams. Good to see you. So, so she's very insistent that she's going to go, she's going to run, and that's fine. But I just think that at a certain point, you need to get a little humility, which is what we've been talking about for the past week, as it relates to a lot of things that are related to Trump, whether it be the Fani Willis issue, the situation going on there in Georgia, whether it be her, her paramour, as you would call him, whether it be, boy, oh boy, Joy, is that her name, Joy? I've got a note to do a story on her. Her name is Joy with MSNBC. Joy Reid. OMG. Hey, let me tell you something. I'm going to have to just do a whole live on Joy Reid. I have to. There is absolutely no way that I could, and I have to do it on screen. It can't be in the podcast type setting. It has to be on the screen, and I have to go in on this conversation that she had with the woman who was from an organization that's really standing out there to say, hey, listen, you know what? You can let your kid read whatever you want them to read. You can read whatever you want to read, but there are certain books that should not be available to young children. And the book that she was talking about was absolutely horrible. And this lady, Joy Reid, just went in on this woman in the most ignorant of ways. So this is something that I have to come back and have a conversation with you guys. And it has to be at least a 30-minute live. We'll probably do it tomorrow, maybe for coffee. Maybe we'll have a Fifi's coffee and jazz moment, and we'll just talk about it early in the morning. Maybe 9 o'clock is early for me, right? Because I get up at 5 and I start doing a lot of other stuff. But to get together with you guys, it would have to be around that time. Deborah Johnson, one of our mods here, says Kari Lake would be a good choice, but I think DeSantis may be pushed in Trump's face to serve as a plan B. I seriously doubt Trump will be allowed to serve his term. The MIC won't have it. Well, you know what? That's something to think about, Deborah. I think that we all know that at this point, no matter who sits in that seat, there is the opportunity for others to run it, right? Because some of the things that we've seen just recently tell us that, gee whiz, you know what? Something's not working. Something is not working. Desiree says they set her up as reasonable, moderate, and mediator for a reason in the left. And I believe you're absolutely right. I believe you are absolutely right. I do think that she is a setup. And like I said, she took a lot of money from a lot of individuals who were supporting her, to include the gentleman who made the comment that he wasn't going to throw money at her if she did not produce anything in New Hampshire, or I believe it was even in Iowa. So let's just see what happens. I really do hope for the Republican Party, for those who are Republicans, I really do hope for their sake that they're able to cut the fat, that she's able to get somebody in her ear that says, hey, even, you paid money for all the advertisement in South Carolina, but go ahead and have a seat. But here's my major concern. My major concern with us seeing this tonight, saying that, you know what, it's him. Let's go back over here, and I want to see if that other channel is still doing what they're doing. It's a news channel, and I want to see if they're still there. Let me refresh this, because if they are, Let's see. Are they?
Primary. So any serious candidate who actually wants to win those delegates chose to be part of the caucus, which.
Okay. So I don't want to play this because this is actually another channel. It's not like Fox or ABC or CBS or anything like that. It's a Right Side Broadcasting Network. I mean, that could be like Black Spring with Autumn, Derek C. Williams, me, and two other people, and we all just take turns, I guess. I don't know. But it's not like a major company that wouldn't trip, even though right now they have 37,739 people watching. I just wanted to get a gander of those numbers. And I do want to pay close attention to that bottom right there with the blue check with the 54.5. My concern is when we go to bed tonight, we could wake back up and there will be some foolery that says the numbers changed overnight. Again, I don't have a dog in the hunt, but I don't like mess either. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't have a dog in the hunt, but I don't like lies. You feel me? I just don't like that. And that's, I remember back in 2020, we went to sleep and when we woke back up, there was a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm just glad I don't vote anymore, but I still get a little bit of agita. You know what I mean? I still get a little bit of angst, Sandy? Sandy, I do. You guys be careful of your comments that you leave inside of the chat, specific names of individuals and specific links. They do flash. Deborah, if you don't mind, pull that one back for me. That one concerns me, sis, only because it has a name that we already know and it has a link that's attached to it. But if you don't mind, please send that to me in my email so that I can read it and then I can share it. But I definitely feel it's better for us to do it that way. So that way we don't have any issues and have the stream flagged, right? We've done a lot of housekeeping over in this network, over in this area for a good amount of time where we have refrained. We've not been able to have any of those things happen to us and get flagged and stuff. So anyway, with all that said, I just think that there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens in between now and the other time. 54.6 is what it shows now with that little blue check mark, but anything can happen in the morning when you're dealing with this group of individuals or entities or whatever you want to call them. Listen, you guys, we've been together for close to 30 minutes, and I just wanted to bring that to you as well as hug your neck and say hello. I hadn't done a live today, and so I want to make sure that with this information that I just came in, hugged you, let you know I love you, let you know that I'm here. And Robert Smith, you snuck in. Hey, how are you tonight? And so, yeah, so that's all I really wanted. Rolf Steiner, how you doing? 600,000 late ballots and everyone for Biden. Statistically impossible. You remember when everybody went to sleep, which was something I had never heard of in my life. Ever since I was a child. Deborah, it's good to see you in Fixed Masters. What's next? How are you? Ever since we were children, you would go to bed with knowing who the president of the United States was based on the votes that you get. We would never, ever have to wait until tomorrow like a cliffhanger. You know what I mean? Like we were watching some type of a Gunsmoke show. We were watching Gunsmoke and then it came a big cliffhanger and all of a sudden we wanted to see who shot Hoss or something like that. It wasn't that way. We knew the night we went to sleep. Well, I tell you, that was a very nervous time. Not nervous and worrying about the presidency, but nervous and worrying about where our country was headed, that we could literally say, we'll postpone the answer until tomorrow. That concerned me. And then to see him say, yep, we're going to come back tomorrow, that concerned me. And then to wait forever to finish getting what was going on in Arizona. Listen, that whole doggone thing was a dumpster fire, one that allowed me to see that my vote did not matter and therefore I would not vote again. Hence, I stopped voting in 2016, much to my chagrin, because I really enjoyed it as far as nationally, as far as the president was concerned. I really enjoyed all that stuff. I did. I enjoyed pushing the person that I thought was going to win. I really loved it. I absolutely had a great time doing it. But after 2020, and I saw some of the things that took place, the original thing, the first thing was the bombing of Syria. That troubled me so with him. Another thing was the whole warp speed thing, which then I later learned was not a warp speed, but that it had been in the works from a total perspective. I mean, total, not necessarily the breakdown in the pieces, but a total perspective since '65. And I didn't know that. And so it wasn't as if you did anything warp speed. You just chimed in with a fast moving locomotive engine that was already moving and had been moving towards us from on a world level for well over 30 years, well over at the time. And so that bothered me. And then there's just a lot of other things that sort of, and then his son-in-law constantly involved in everything. And who voted for him? I mean, he reminded me of a little shaven cat. He just reminded me of a shaved kitty cat. He really did. He went from looking like a boy to this, I don't know, the character that was in 300. You guys remember 300, where the guy had, I forgot, was Xerxes? Was that it? Xerxes with all the earrings and just the really beautiful chiseled female almost. He almost looked like a girl, but he was very chiseled. That's what this cat ended up looking like. And he was running all over the world. He was making all kind of statements. And I said, I didn't vote for this dude. Why is he everywhere? The guy became ubiquitous. So there were a lot of things. And then, not to mention the fact that his son-in-law had a very close relationship, very close business working relationship with the gal, with the young man or old guy that Deborah just put up the name in the his daddy. He had was it his daddy or was it Alex that he has the working relationship with Deborah? Because you remember they have that building at 666 something. There is it in New York? Deborah knows. Deborah is the one. I'm not sure if if you have a channel that's up or not, but if she does, that's the one to watch. Trust me and believe me. But nonetheless, I'm going to let you guys go. If you guys want anything else you want to talk about, throw it in the bullpen. We'll chat before we leave. But if you don't, we'll go on ahead and see each other tomorrow, where I will discuss Joy Reid's ignorance and how she treated the woman from that organization for children. I believe when a person comes to you and they're talking about, children, the safety of children, you should at least do your homework. What I will show you tomorrow is that it's apparent this gal did not do any homework at all. She didn't read any of the information, and it showed. And she was a straight up bully. Plain and simple. Straight up bully. That story, and then I believe there's another one that we have. Oh, yeah, I want to talk about, I really got some good notes here for Joy Reid. I want to talk about a couple of things. A couple of things that, again, are some of those situations that sort of bleed over into the regular, quote unquote, Black folk of America, especially when there are a lot of foreigners that are, well, I shouldn't say foreigners, people who are not originally from here, doing a lot of things, making all people that have that shade of skin look like complete, stark, raving, mad idiots. The first one that we're going to talk about is Joy Reid. We can even put into that category Karine Jean-Pierre, whatever her name is, a gal that is the press person for the seated president. That poor girl needs to just throw in the towel and quit. The poor girl. I've come to the determination that her hair is gorgeous, but it has to be out of frustration, because there will be no way that I could do that job, do it well, and continue with all of the crap they put that poor lady through. And then she's a woman who is from Haiti, and they believe in hard work and staying the course. You see, the first gal got out, the one they used to call Raggedy Andy. They used to call her Raggedy Andy. And so, no, Raggedy Ann. And so I said, well, here's Raggedy Andy. But it's just terrible. It's awesome. Yes, and it is, Robert. She is such a wretched young lady. She is such a wretched young lady for them to call her Joy. Well, her family is not from the United States. And that's going to be one of the things that we're going to look at tomorrow when we look at her and when we look at a couple of other people, because they bring people in, they give people positions that you think are, from here. Both parents are from here, they're from here, but no, once you start doing some digging, you find out the mama was from India and the daddy was from, a certain part of Jamaica. And then everybody is ignorant. They think everybody from Jamaica is brown skinned, and they're not. There's different shades. There's even Koreans. There's several different shades of people that are from that area. So it's people like Joy Reid, and it's people like that poor Corinne, whatever her name is, bless her heart, and other people that are just a mess. The whole entire BLM group, all of them kids was from Haiti. You look at their faces, look at the shape of the faces, look at them. Look at them. Listen, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to touch a lot of things. Black Spring says, bingo, she's a hack. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not sure if, well, we'll get into that tomorrow. I'm not going to talk about that particular person right now, but I am going to ask a question tomorrow about this girl because it seems like there's a big secret about her because I can't find her mama and all the research that I'm doing. One gal, as a matter of fact, my good friend, Bettina, told me about a story and I pulled it and I still have it. And it was about this one person. And just recently I started to do some more digging. And as I did some digging, I only found a father. I do not find a mother. I find a father. I find a maternal, paternal grandmother, but I don't see her mama. And she's very vocal within our community. Another thing is her lineage has her husband's lineage dictates that he can only marry somebody who is a quote unquote somebody. Yeah. So this person does a lot of talking on our behalf, and I don't get it. Yes, that's her, T. Jordan, Corinne Jean-Pierre, pretty little gal. You know, just a beautiful person, but she's taking it for the team. And I mean, she has absolutely no help taking it, just taking it. They just sucker punching her all the time. The poor thing has no answers. She doesn't, she can't keep regurgitating the same thing over and over again, but she finds herself doing it. It's just not nice. And so we're going to look specifically tomorrow, even if we don't get to Corinne Jean-Pierre. Thanks again, T. Jordan. Yes, Bettina. Even if we don't get to Corinne Jean-Pierre, we're most assuredly going to deal with Miss Joy Reid. We're going to break that interview down that she did with that poor lady. But I want to tell you something about that sister. That lady held her own, baby. Her mic may not have been as hot as it needed to be. And she did everything besides stand up, put her hands on her hip, the guest, and roll her neck and tell her, you are crazy. She did everything but that. She stayed professional. She stayed as kind as she could, but she definitely did give her what for in her answers to this disgusting book that Joy was defending, and had the audacity to say that she and other parents like her did not have the right to stand up and say, this trash has no place being readily available to children. And then to see this idiot stand there, sit there, with that look that she had on her face and defend that garbage tells me that she's getting really paid very well. Really, really well. She's getting some money. Same thing with Roland Martin. He's another person who's from Haiti. People think that he's us, but he ain't. He ain't. Listen, Biden wins. Get a load of this, you guys. Get a load of this. Let me give you guys the screen over here. I just got this alert. So let's see this before we leave. Boy, oh boy. You know what's so funny to me? They take a win any way they can, even if they fashion the win themselves. They make up the win. And after they make up the win, they say, look what we did. We won. Yeah, but it was the rules you made up. Let me make sure that you can see it. Yep, you can. It says President Biden was projected to win the New Hampshire Democratic primary on Tuesday after an unprecedented write-in initiative. According to the Decision Desk HQ, Biden's name wasn't actually on the ballot in the Granite State after the president didn't file for the primary in order to comply with the new Democratic National Committee sanctioned primary calendar. His win on Tuesday, which won't actually award him any delegates, was still expected. And a loss would have been detrimental and embarrassing setback for the president. Here goes the numbers. This is in manner. Let's see, what is this? Let's see. This is the New Hampshire president Democratic primary. The polls closed January 23rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And these are the candidates. And these are the votes. But either way it goes, these are the votes. 10,833. Write-in 18,671. Miriam Wilson, Dean Phillips, and yada yada. So now New Hampshire voters were encouraged through an effort organized by Biden allies to write in Biden's name on the ballot, which could include any variation of his name, like President Biden, Joe and Kamala, or even Biden spelled Bidon. They know how to really twist the truth well, don't they? The unusual write-in initiative comes as the DNC reshuffled its calendar to make South Carolina, which played a major role in Biden's victory in 2020, the first state for 2024. The effort was spearheaded by Biden, who argued that it promotes diverse voices in early Democratic primaries and put it ahead of New Hampshire. That move was met with fierce blowback from the Granite State Democrats, however, and New Hampshire state legislature in November declined the effort to change its primary date, pointing to a state law that requires its primaries to be held at least 7 days before any other state holds its own. But Biden's win will give the president a boost of momentum amid signs of discontent around his campaign. It will also further undercut arguments being made by his primary challengers, including Representative Dean Phillips and author Marianne Williamson, who have insisted that there's not enough enthusiasm around the president heading to November. They're absolutely right. I think that people are wondering, what gives. The story goes on to say that Biden hasn't visited New Hampshire recently and has focused on other early voting states like South Carolina. The New Hampshire primary served as a gauge to test if Biden's challenges within his own party, like concerns over his age or lack of enthusiasm from young voters, could still lead to a victory over low-profile challengers. New Hampshire also tested Biden's strength going into the general election against likely challenger, former President Donald Trump, the GOP frontrunner. The aggregation of polls kept by Decision Desk HQ and The Hill shows Trump with a lead of 1.1% over Biden in a hypothetical head-to-head contest. 1.1%. Wow. Doesn't really say a lot, does it? 1.1%. Well, there's that. Write his name in and then see what happens. Write his name in and then see what happens. What's going on? Oh, somebody needed me. Deirdre Morris. Where are you? Are you on Facebook? I don't like them. And let me tell you a little story before we leave about them. When 2016 came around, I was campaigning really hard. I don't think you guys know what I mean when I say really hard. I was campaigning really aggressively for Donald Trump. Aggressively. Sending out information, going and digging back and finding old clips and articles and stuff and sending it to friends and family and making comments. And anytime somebody would say something, I would say something and give them the truth. California friends of mine were really a little upset, and I don't know, but they blackballed me. And even though I do have a professional page, it doesn't matter what I put on it. No one ever sees it. It's the same thing with my Twitter, now X account. No one ever sees me. It's the same thing with my Instagram account. No one ever sees me. And now that I have TikTok because of the company and the podcast, as well as the YouTube and whatnot, and no one hardly sees me. It's like 200 and some odd people follow me on TikTok. But my point in answering this is, I'm on Facebook, but I don't visit it a lot. I find a lot of people on occasion when I go over there will stick a message in the box, that messenger thing, and I loathe it entirely. And because I don't like it, it's very rare that I go over there. But when I go, I'll plunder around, I'll go and plunder around and plinkety plink and see what's going on and see some old people from high school. I've got a few pages over there. When I owned a travel company, I still have that travel pages over there. I saw that the other day. So I'm on Instagram. Anywhere I am, I'll be on Instagram. I'll be wherever I am. It's Felicia Lockhart, or you can even plug in the Lockhart Perspective. You can do it either way. But I'd love to visit with you over there. I'm just, they're just I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay, you guys. All right. We are out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out. And let's see, Rolf says, hell, keep 1.2 million late postal ballots stored in a safe space for future usage, just in case the final voting tally is closer than comfortable. Just gets a little too close. Okay, Deirdre wants to know if you're on Facebook, Headlines with a Voice. Nah, Bettina was even more close best than I. Bettina was even more close best than I. Now, there is we do have Headlines with a Voice, that's Twitter. And on occasion, I'll post there if I'm logged in when I go in. If I'm logged in on Headlines with a Voice on X, then you'll see me post over there. But because it makes me melancholy, I rarely do it. Just like I will rarely go into Roy's chat logged in with that account. Sometimes I did it by accident a year or so ago when I was on Monograph's channel, and I just profusely apologized because I was like, oh no, it's not her, it's me. And so, yeah, very rarely. Yeah, very rarely, but it's okay because guess what? I'm me. I'm more of the Lockhart perspective than I am Headlines with a Voice, right? Although I'm Headlines with a Voice now, but I'm more Lockhart perspective because over here I can get down and get raw and I can really, really be me. I don't want to try to get on yonder and then everybody be like, wow, she's a bit brash, isn't she? I didn't know that she can really go in. You know what, Ben Darling, if you have not subscribed to me, you precious dear soul, and anyone else is wondering how you ended up here, do me a giant favor and hit the subscribe button. The purpose for me saying that is we have a lot of fun over here. We really honestly do. We try to bring things we try to talk about topics in a way that touches you because it's dealing with the things that you may not have said. You thought them, but you didn't have the opportunity to say them. And so I say it. I mean, you know what I mean? So if you are not subscribed and you want to have a fun home to hang out, please come on over, consider becoming a member. You can also hit the like button for us. That helps us out as well. And yeah, that part. So for everybody, because I know that there have been a few people that mentioned that this was their first visit over. I am Felicia Lockhart. And this is the Lockhart Perspective, but we also have another home for news, and that is Headlines with a Voice. And there we do a lot of recalls, which I got a boatload of them that are already queued up and ready to go. We do recalls there. We do narrated news and a few other fun things. So check us out over there at Headlines with a Voice here on YouTube as well. If you're not a member or you're not subscribed, consider subscribing because I'll treat you real good. Listen, you guys, we're going to go ahead and get out of here, but I appreciate each and every one of you. Remember what we always say, take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of you, ain't nobody else going to do it now. After you take care of yourself and you're done loving on yourself and picking yourself up and dusting yourself off, now you can reach around and touch on one of them other folks that's on the ship with you that's about to go down for the last time. Pull them up, and then you guys will go ahead on and sail away in safety. But one thing I want you to make sure that you do by the next time I see you, and that is I want you to make sure that you take care of my friend, and my friend is you. Love you guys. Take care. Peace. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Lockhart Perspective. Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day.